Okay, let's try this video for the fourth time. The audio kept getting messed up, so I'm using a completely different program to record this, but here we go. Columnist fails gun check, blames store owner. A newspaper columnist is crying foul after a gun store rejected his application to purchase a firearm following a background check that uncovered his admitted history of alcohol abuse and a charge for domestic battery involving his wife. In case you aren't aware, most people keep screaming that domestic abusers can buy guns. If you are convicted of domestic violence, you cannot. It has to be on your record. That's how it works. The dude from the military was able to buy the gun because the military didn't add his charge or conviction into the civilian database, in case you're curious. Gun manufacturers and the stores that sell them make their money in the dark, the Chicago Sun-Times' Neil Steinberg wrote in his column following his failed attempt to purchase a rifle. Congress, which has so much trouble passing the most basic gun laws, passed a law making it illegal for a federal government to fund research into gun violence. Except for a week or two after massacres, the public covers its eyes. Would-be terrorists can buy guns. Insane people can buy guns. But reporters, that's a different story, he added. Okay. One, mental illness is a very broad term. Depends on what you're diagnosed with, and if there's something on your record saying you cannot buy this gun. For example, you have an anxiety disorder. You're still allowed to buy a gun. It all depends on what mental disorder you have, because not all of them make you crazy or make you incompetent or make you a danger to yourself or others. The owners of the Maxim Shooter Supplies in Des Plaines, Illinois, however, maintain Steinberg's application was rejected not because he's in the media, but for the simple reason that a background check raised several flags. Okay, raised red flags. But several red flags, plural, same difference. Mr. Steinberg was very aggressive on the phone with Sarah, insisting he was going to write that we denied him because he is a journalist. Journalist is not a protected class, by the way. The store said in an explanation made available to the Washington Examiner's media desk. We contacted his editor and said that, because it's a little bit noisier right now, my AC kicked on. Sorry about that. Can't control it. Don't want to burn up. We contacted his editor and said that while we don't normally provide a reason for a denial, in this case to correct the record before you publish, here's why. We pasted a couple links of press accounts of his past behavior and his admission of the same. He's free to believe or disbelieve, that's why he was denied. But that is why he was denied, the statement added. There is no way we'll see you in court type of language from us. We simply want the record straight. That is undermined his thesis and rendered the column incoherent. Isn't really our problem, is it? Now, in case you're curious, they basically told him why he failed. Steinberg explained he tried to buy an AR-15 rifle this morning following a mass shooting at a gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida, which claimed the lives of 49 victims, so that he could give a first-hand account of how easy it is to purchase a firearm in the United States. Yeah, that kind of backfired on you, didn't it? Since the shooting in Orlando, several newsrooms have produced similar stories, bringing the attention to the fact that many privately owned gun shops have efficient operations in place by which a customer with a clean record can purchase a firearm in a short amount of time. Yes, if your record is clean, they run the background check, they sell you the rifle. The I in NICS is instant, which means they can run it right then and there. It's not exactly supposed to be hard for you to exercise your rights. Unless, of course, they've been denied to you. Also, sorry about the cats in the background. They don't like the door being shut, so it's partially open so they don't scratch at it. But now they're just going to go insane. Steinberg decided Maxim Shooters as a suitable candidate for his experiment. Steinberg decided on Maxim Shooters as a suitable candidate for his experiment. He claimed he had hang-ups at first, while financially contributing to an industry he despises, but decided anyways to make the trek to the gun store, which he referred to as the Valley of Death. He wrote that after introducing himself to the store staff, he informed them he had planned to buy the gun, shoot at their range, and give it to the police. Steinberg said he was dissuaded, of course, to the idea after the salesman, Mike, suggested he sell the firearm back to the store. I mean, might as well. 40% of gun transactions in the U.S. have no background checks, the columnist continued, repeating the claim that earned 3 Pinocchios from the Washington Post fact check. Here, I had paperwork. Okay, let me explain to you. Every FFL dealer, everywhere, when selling a firearm, is required to run a background check. There is no loophole around that. None whatsoever. Now, some states have legal private party sales which are not subject to it. Basically, what it translates to is you can sell your properties, nobody's goddamn business. But then some places have universal background checks where you have to go through a dealer in order to sell your own private property. And in some places they don't have registrations like that, so there's really no way to enforce that or prove you did or didn't do that, since registration is actually illegal and unconstitutional. Our transaction took nearly an hour because we chatted. Mike used to read newspapers but doesn't anymore because of the opinion readers like me. He knew whether it was legal to bring the guns to Chicago. It's not. He was friendly, candid, so I asked difficult questions. Did he ever feel guilty about the people killed by the guns he sells? No, he said. It's like asking a car dealer if he felt guilty if someone gets drunk and kills somebody in a car he sold. Which is a very fair answer. If you sell somebody something and they go out and use that item to kill somebody, that's not on you. People have free will. You cannot control what someone's going to do with something you gave or sold to them. None. Once it's in their hands, if they do something illegal with the item, it's on them. They have nobody to blame but themselves. Here are the anti-gunners. If somebody sells somebody a gun, like a dealer sells somebody a gun, and they were legally able to obtain the gun and then went out and did something stupid with it, it's not the gun dealer's fault. It's the person who actually did the action. Just the way it is. Just like if you let somebody borrow your car and they get a hair up their ass and decide to mow down 60 people, that's not your fault. That is on them. I asked him if I could quote him in the newspaper and he said no, I couldn't, so I'm not quoting him, he wrote. Steinberg submitted his paperwork and waited, and then he got the call. At 5:15, Sarah from Maxim called. They were canceling my sale and refunding my money. No gun for you. I called back. Why? I don't have to tell you, she said. I knew that, but was curious. I wasn't rejected by the government, so what is it? I'm not at liberty, she said. He wrote. Steinberg told the woman he suspected his application was rejected because he's in media. She denied the charge. That would seriously bring bad press if that was the legit reason. Maxim Shooters explained later in a statement to the Chicago Sun-Times that it rejected Steinberg's application because the background check had uncovered that because Mr. Steinberg had an admitted history of alcohol abuse and a charge for domestic battery involving his wife, he wrote. The columnist was not happy. Well, maybe you shouldn't beat your spouse. Well, I didn't see that coming. Yeah, of course you didn't, because you just assume what laws are not in place. With the same standard applied to the American public, it would be a whole lot fewer guns sold. They are applied. If it's on your record, you're screwed. He wrote, suggesting he believes a larger number of gun owners I've also been guilty of spousal or substance abuse or both. Okay, here's the thing. If you are a perpetrator of domestic violence, when no charges are brought and no cops are informed, nobody knows, which means it's not on your record. Unfortunately, then you can't buy a gun. If you admit on the thing you have a problem, you're a substance abuser, then they will deny you. It's that simple. Again, the system, when running in the background, can only go by what's in there. That's just the way it is. He argued the real reason his application was rejected is because gun manufacturers want to operate in the shadows and away from the glaring light of the media scrutiny. Gun makers avoid publicity because the truth is they sell tools of death to frighten people and make a fortune doing so. They shun attention because they know if we saw clearly what happens in our country, we demand change, he added. Steinberg did not respond to the examiner's request for a comment. Here's pretty much what happened. You tried to prove how easy it is to buy a gun. You got rejected. You found out it's not so easy to buy a gun when you're not legally allowed to own one. It's that simple. It's no conspiracy. Get over yourself. Anyways, that's all for this video. If it's uploaded, that means everything came out great. But I decided to record with a different program this time. One that takes up less resources. So hopefully it plays okay. And again, I apologize for the AC in the background and the psychotic cats. But not much I can do about that. Tune in until next time. Bye. Miss Osa Bear, Tatiana, Alina.
You cannot invade the mainland United States. There would be a rifle behind every blade of grass. Isoroku Yamamoto.
Now, you've just watched another video by Running Guns News. If you liked the video, hit like. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. If you actually enjoy my content, you can support me or my channel financially if you choose by PayPal, Patreon. BitChute now has an option to do monthly or one-time payments, which no matter what you pick, it's still taken out at the beginning of every month, just so you know. And you can catch my videos on other platforms, which will also be linked below. So until then, have a nice day.